Hi students, it's teacher Larissa here, and this video is a review for your upcoming exam. So you guys studied book 2, units 11 and 12, right? And you also studied book 3, unit 1. So we're going to review the grammar topics on all of them. Starting with unit 11, book 2. So unit 11, it talks about appearances, physical appearances, right? So we start with family traits. How do we describe people? There are different ways of asking and answering questions on how to describe people. Let's see here the first way that you can ask about someone's appearance. So you can use the expression look like. The structure is what, do or does, depending on the subject, right? What do or what does the subject look like? Let's see an example here. What does your sister look like? She's tall and thin. So in the question here, it's this structure here. So what, just like here, what does, right? Does your sister is the subject, look like, the expression look like. So what does your sister look like? This is one way of asking about someone's appearance, physical appearance. For this first expression here, look like, what does someone look like? We want to know their appearance. Please describe them. Are they tall? Are they thin? Are they brunette, right? Black hair. Or are they blonde, So look like, it's to ask for a description. I have also this expression here. Who do or does subject look like? So who does your sister look like? She looks like my mother. Who, right? It's here, the double H question. Do or does will vary depending on the subject. The subject here is sister, so it's does. And look like. When we say, who do you look like? Instead of what do you look like? When we say who, we want to know the person that you look similar. For instance, who do you look like? She looks like my mother. It's because the mother is also her mother, so they look similar. We can say, who does your mother look like? Who does your dad, your father look like? So we want to know if there is someone in the world that looks similar to them, right? It's different than asking, what do you look like? What is a description? Who do you look like? It's to know if there is someone that they look like. And look alike is to know if two people, they look similar. So another way of asking the same information is by using the structure look alike. Please pay attention that it's not the same. It's not look like. It's look alike. So do, the structure is do, subject, and another subject look alike. This expression here, we use it when we want to ask if two people look alike. Do they look like the same person? Do they have the same hair, the same eyes? So we use look alike. But look alike is to ask about if someone looks like someone else. So let's see here. Do you and your sister look like? It's this structure. Do you, right? You is the first subject. And your sister is the second subject. Look alike. And the woman answers, no, we look totally different. So do you and your sister look alike? She wants to know if her sister looks like her. but she doesn't. They're totally different. So another way of asking about someone's appearance is by using this structure, yes or no question, plus have, the word have. So do or does the subject have the described feature? It can be anything. You can ask about, here in described feature, you can ask about hair, you can ask about eye color, you can ask about height, right? If the person is tall or they're short. So here's the first example. Does your sister have black hair? No, she has blonde hair. So the structure in the question is the same. Do or does. As always, it will depend on the subject. So the subject here is sister. So we use does. Does your sister, the subject, have, just like the structure, black hair? Black hair is the described feature. And the answer is no. She has blonde hair. Her feature is not black hair. It's blonde hair. It's blonde hair, yellow hair, right? Another way of asking for information is using the question word how plus an adjective question. For instance, the structure is how plus an adjective plus the to be verb and finally the subject. So the question, how tall is your sister? It's the same structure. How comes at first. The adjective here is tall. The to be verb is, and the subject is your sister. When we answer questions about height, we just say the number, okay? So she is 1 meter 75, right? 1 meter 75. We don't have to say she is 1 meter 75 tall. You can say that. You can add the word tall at the end, but you don't have to. If you just say the number, they will understand. So now we're going to see this table here that sums up everything that I just said. Do, subject, and subject look alike? No, they look totally different. What does subject look like? Oh, she's tall and thin. Who does she look like? She looks like her father. Here we want to know if Haley and Heather look alike, right? If they're similar. Here we want to know, what does Haley look like? We want a description of Haley's appearance. And lastly, we have, who does she look like? We want to know, who does Haley look like? Does she look like her mother? Does she look like her grandmother? Does she look like her father? Okay? So when we're talking about heights, here's the question. How tall is, right? How, adjective, tall. Verb, to be, right? Is. And the subject, her father. He is 6'7". In English, they have a different measure system. In America, I mean, in the United States. So they don't say meters, just like we do here, meters. They say foot, right? But they don't usually say he is 6'7". Someone, a native speaker, would just say he is 6'7", right? 6'7", 6'7". They will understand the same. Another way we can say he is over. Over means more than 2 meters tall. This means that her father, it has more than 2 meters, okay? Here they added the word tall, but you don't have to. You can just say he's over 2 meters. When we talk about color, it's the same. It's the double H question. And here the noun, the color, as Haley's hair. So here is the explanation of what I just said. Her father is 6'7", but you can say 6'7" tall. You don't have to, but it's, the information is already there. It's implicit. She's 1 meter 90. You can say she's 1 meter 90, or you can say she's 1 meter 90 tall. Either way, someone will understand. The person you are talking to will understand. Now, to talk about features. Features is the same as physical characteristics, right? So certain verbs are used to describe people's physical appearance or features. So, what are these verbs? We can use have got or has got. He has got a mustache. He has, right? The structure is subject plus have or has got plus the characteristic, the feature. So he has got a mustache. The other verb we can use is be, the verb to be. So he has no hair, right? So we would say he is bald. It's his characteristic. He is bald. It's the verb be. He is. And lastly, we have wear. We can be wearing something. We don't need to have a mustache. We don't need to be bald. We can just wear something. So he is wearing glasses, sunglasses. He is wearing a hat. Okay, so these are the common verbs: have or has got, be, the verb to be, or wear. And now we're going to talk about phrases that have verbs, and they have verbs with ing form and prepositions. So this structure here that we see here, phrase plus verb plus ing plus preposition plus phrase, we use it to identify people or things. Let's say that you are at a party and you are there to meet someone, but you never saw them before. How will you identify this person? How, if you are meeting them, I don't know, at the shopping mall, someone you met on the internet, you're meeting them at the shopping mall. So how will you identify this person? Here's an example. Who is your sister? And the person says, she is the woman standing by the table. So here we have the structure. The phrase, right? The noun phrase, we have she is. The woman, she is the woman. The verb is stand. The verb is stand. She's the woman, stand. But we add the ing at the end of the phrase. So she is the woman standing by is the preposition, and the table is the phrase. So she's the woman standing by the table. It's this structure right here. Another way of using these phrases is by using phrase plus preposition, no ing. So let's see. Again, who is your sister? She's the woman with the blonde hair. She's the woman, the phrase stays the same. But instead of adding a verb and the ing form, we just add a preposition. The preposition is with. She's the woman with the blonde hair, right? The blonde hair is the physical characteristic. Here we have another way to talk about people when we want to describe them. It's using the word one or once if it's plural, plus the preposition or the verb, right? Or the verb with the ing form. Let's see the example. So, who is your sister? The woman will answer, she is the one with the blonde hair. She doesn't have to say she is the woman with the blonde hair. She just says she's the one with, right, the preposition with the blonde hair, the phrase. But she could also say She is the one, right? The one stays here. Standing, so instead of using preposition, she can use the verb and the ing. Standing by the table and the preposition after the verb in ing form. So now we were talking about physical appearances, right? Physical appearance. Hair, height, if someone is tall or short, if they have hair, if they have a mustache. But now we will talk about clothing. You know, the clothes that we wear. So we use the prepositions in or with to describe the clothes. We don't use the verb wear. We don't have to say she is, we don't have to use the verb wear. I will show in the example. So once again, who is your sister? And the woman will answer, she's the woman in the red dress. See, she used the preposition in. She didn't say, she's the woman wearing the red dress. She said, she's the woman in the red dress. So if we use only the preposition in or with, we don't have to use the verb wear. Another way she could answer is, she's the one with the red dress. See, she didn't use in, she used with. These are the two options, in or with, to talk about clothes. Now that's all for appearances, and then we move on to talk about what's his name. Now, how do we remember words? We don't always remember the words. Sometimes we forget them. So how do we ask for help when we forget words? So certain expressions help people remember or be reminded of words during a conversation. For instance, if you don't remember a name, you can just say, what's his name? Or what's her name? Here in the example, do you remember that boy with red hair? What's his name? That was Johnny. So here she remembered that the boy had red hair, but she didn't remember his name, and her sister told her his name was Johnny. And we can also use expressions to remember words, right? So you can remember other words that are not just, names of words for, maybe you don't remember how to say cell phone. So you can say, in this situation, you can use this structure. What do you call it? Or what do you call them? Or what do you call that? Or what do you call those? Here's the example. He was talking on one of those things. What do you call those? Here she's using those because she said things, which is in the plural. So what do you call those? And her friend reminds her what is the word that she forgot. She was talking about walkie-talkies. Now, if you don't forget something, but the person that you were talking to forgets something, you can use the expressions you mean or do you mean. Let's see. These expressions are used to suggest the word or name that someone can't remember. Here, do you remember that boy with red hair? What's his name? So the girl says, oh, you mean Johnny. She's suggesting the name, right? Oh, you mean Johnny. Or she could have just said, do you mean Johnny? Okay? Now, moving on to Unit 12, Book 2. So Unit 12, we're going to talk about future plans, right? So, in English, we can use the words will, may, or might to talk about future. You guys have already studied the other form, which is going to. So here we will only talk about will, may, and might. English has different structures, right, to talk about future. And these are the structures. So we use will when we're talking about facts or making predictions about the future. If I say, I will be 65 in June, that's a fact because we all grow older. We all age, right? So I can say, I will be 20 in June. It's a fact. But you can make predictions about the future as well if you know that they are true. For instance, if he says, it will be expensive to travel around Europe, this is a prediction, but is also a fact because we know that traveling is expensive, and traveling all over Europe, it's going to be much more expensive, right? So here the other example, the baby will keep us busy. This is also a prediction about the future that is a fact because babies, they give a lot of work to parents. So parents who have babies, they are always busy. And here it won't. Won't is the negative form of will, right? It's the word will plus the negative word not. Will not. Won't. It won't be easy to find a job. It's a prediction about the future because the world, we know that finding jobs nowadays is not easy, right? Now, how do we use may or might? If we're not sure about the future, if it's not a fact nor a prediction that we are sure of, we use may or might. It's something that we're not sure if it will happen. It can happen, it may happen, but it's not a fact, right? So I may go on for a master's degree. If you are in college and you may not be sure, you can be undecisive about going to a master's degree. So you may go or you may not go. But then he says, I might not be able to afford it. So he is not sure if he will have money to pay for his master's degree. It's something that he's not sure in the future. Will he be able to pay? He doesn't know. So he says, I might not be able to afford it. But maybe he will be able to. And that is why he is using the word might. He's not sure about the future. Anything can happen, right? So we also use will when we have expressions like I guess, I think, maybe, probably. These expressions are not certainty, right? You're not sure that something will happen, but you're kind of sure, so you use will. Here in the example, we will probably take some time off from work. It's a possibility. You can say, maybe we will move to Arizona. It's another possibility. But we don't talk about will when we're talking about plans that we have already made in the past. You guys studied this when you learned about the going to structure, right? So if you already made plans to travel to Europe, you say, I'm going to Europe next year. You have already made your plans, you already bought the tickets, you are already going to Europe. You say, I'm going to visit Paris. You already bought the ticket to Paris, so you already made this plan in the past. You don't say, I will go to Europe next year. I will visit Paris. You say, I'm going to visit Paris. And this is something that you guys studied, as I said. And even though you studied, I will still show you guys just a little something about the going to structure, right? So going to, we use it, going to talk about plans or decisions that we already made. As the example, I'm going to Europe next year. The decision is already made. The example here is, I'm going to retire in June. This person has already made the decision to retire in June. We also use going to talk about events that are already in progress, that are already happening, right? So we are going to have a baby. If the woman is pregnant, the event of having a baby is already in the process. So they say, we're going to have a baby, and not, I will have a baby, okay? And finally, going to is used to talk about predictions based on current evidence or knowledge. So it's going to snow tonight. If you look out the window and you see that the weather is cold, you can make this prediction. Yeah, it's going to snow tonight. It's going to rain tonight, right? These are predictions that are being made based on things that you know. So another topic that is related to the future are jobs, right? So what job will you have in the future? There are many different jobs you can choose, right? So you can be a firefighter, you can be an electrician, you can be a news reporter, or you can be a cameraman, right? The person who is operating the camera. There are many possibilities. And when we are talking about jobs, first of all, we always use the indefinite article. When we have a vowel sound, right? A consonant sound, sorry. A consonant sound. And when we have a vowel sound. So before you say your profession, you always have to use this indefinite article. You say, I am a firefighter. I am an electrician. She is a news reporter. He is a cameraman. Okay? So, when we talk about jobs, we can use for, the words for, and the word at when we are mentioning people's jobs. For instance, if I say, he is a software engineer. He works for a tech company. Now, she is a doctor. She works at a hospital. So, at is the location that she works, and for is who he works for. So, he works for a tech company. She works at a hospital. Now going back to future, we can also talk about future using present tense verbs. How do we do that? So if the sentence starts with a time clause, what are time clauses? We have if, when, before, or after. If the sentence starts with one of these words, the verb will be in the present talking about the future. Let's see the example. What are you going to do when you graduate? You don't say, what are you going to do when you will graduate? We don't say that. We say, when you graduate. The verb is in the present. Now we have if. If I get good grades, I may go to law school. We don't say if I will get good grades, The verb has to be in the present. So if I get good grades. But here's another observation. It's this phrase will be in the present, but the first phrase here is still in the future. What are you going to do in the future? When you graduate. But because there is the time clause, the verb is in the present. Here, my parents will be disappointed. They will be disappointed in the future, right? If I don't go into law. We don't say my parents will be disapproved if I won't go into law. You don't say if I will not go into law, right? You say in the present, if I don't go into law. Now, if here the other example we have, after I graduate is the same thing as the first one here. After I graduate, I will be able to work in their firm. So here, the second part of the phrase, I'll be able to work in their firm, is still in the future. But the first part of the sentence is in the present because we have the time clause after. After I graduate, and not after I will graduate. No, it's not that. And finally we have, I need to decide before I go home for the summer. So because we have the word before, we use the verb go in a present. We don't say, I need to decide before I will go home for the summer. We don't use that. Now, we also use the future structure to make offers and promises. So if you are making a promise or an offer, you can use I'll or I will, right? I'll is the contracted, the shortened version of I will. I'll, I will, or I won't, or I will not, if you prefer, to make offers and promises. And if somebody offers something to you or makes a promise, you just answer with okay or alright. If you agree with it, if you don't agree, if you disagree, you don't say okay or alright, okay? But here, let's see the example. I will drive, I'll drive. This is what? Not a promise. This is an offer. She is offering to drive, I'll drive. And the other person says, okay, thanks. She agrees with that. It's okay for her. But now, this woman will make a promise. I won't drive too fast. She says, I won't drive too fast. When she says that, she's making a promise that she will not drive too fast. It's almost as if she were saying, I promise I won't drive too fast. But you don't have to say I promise. If you just say I won't drive too fast, the other person will understand that you're making a promise. And now let's move on to the final unit that we studied together, which was Unit 1 of Book 3. Okay, Book 3. It's not Book 2 anymore. So Book 3, it starts with Unit 1 talking about people in a hurry. What is people in a hurry? It's the same as talking about adverbs, manner adverbs, the way that people do things. So adverbs, when we have regular adverbs, all we have to do is, an adverb is what? Is an adjective, right? It's an adjective that has the ly ending, the ly ending. So how do we make an adverb? This way. The adverb, the adjective. This is the adjective quick, right? So if we want to make quick, the adjective quick, become an adverb, what we have to do is add this ending right here, quickly. Now this is an adverb. Another one, careful. How do we turn the adjective careful into a verb? By adding this ending, carefully. But not all words will receive this ending. For instance, the adjective easy, it ends with a y, right? So what happens? What we do is we remove this y, we put an I in a place, so easy, remove the y, put an I, and then you will add the ending ly. So easy becomes easily, okay? Another rule is when a word ends in the letter C, here automatic, right, ends with a C. How do we turn it into an adverb? We add the ending ally. It's not just ly or ily. It's ally, automatically. Okay? So let's see here. But the thing is, not all adverbs are regular. Some adverbs are irregular. And irregular adverbs, they have a different form, like they have a very different form, or they remain the same as when they were an adjective. From adjective to adverb, the word stays the same. Let's see. So the adjective good, it's an irregular adverb. How do we turn it into an adverb? It becomes the word well. It becomes a different word. But if we have the word fast, the adjective fast, when we turn it into an adverb, it remains the same. It's the same word, but now it's an adverb. See? So, these adverbs, they usually come after an action verb or after another adverb, which is usually the adverb very. So let's see here the table. So I wait patiently. Patiently is the adverb and wait is the action verb. He doesn't sing very well. So the action verb is sing. And we have here the adverb very, right? Before the manner adverb. And the third example we have he drives very fast. So the action verb, another adverb, and the adverb, the manner adverb. The way that he is doing something, the way that he is driving is fast. So he is driving very fast. And finally we have she drives, action verb, carefully, and just the adverb. So she drives carefully. If you guys pay attention, you will see that when it's a regular adverb like patiently and carefully, it comes right after the verb. But when it's an irregular adverb, for instance, well and fast, it has another adverb before. This is not always that this will happen, but it's a good observation and a relevant observation. So, adjectives versus adverbs. These two words, they have different functions. An adjective, it will describe someone, right? It is a description of characteristics. It can be physical characteristics or personality characteristics. Now, adverbs, they describe manner. They are describing the manner that you do something. They're not describing you. They're not describing the thing that you're doing. They're describing the way that you do things. And this is, I'm talking about manner adverbs. It's this word right here, manner adverbs. There are other adverbs. There are time adverbs and so on. So I'm talking about manner adverbs. Now, here's two sentences, right? Children learn languages easily. And children learn languages easy. Which sentence is correct and which is wrong? Let's try to answer this question. So, adjectives, as I just said, they have different functions. They describe characteristics, right? So here, easy is an adjective. And what is it describing? It is not describing the languages, right? Not saying that the languages are easy. It is saying that the children learn languages in an easy manner. So if it's an easy manner, we're talking about the way that children learn. It is an adverb. So the correct answer is the first one. Children learn languages easily, because easily is the adverb, okay? It's describing the way that these children will learn languages. They will learn easily and not easy. Now, finally, to talk about personality and character. We did this in the classroom, right? We did this together. We learned about adjectives for personality. There are many adjectives to describe someone's personality. You guys remember that we saw these texts, right? That these people here, Jessica, Mike, Brian, and Emilia, they're talking about the people that they admire. And when we talk about people that we admire, we use adjectives, right, to describe these people. So if you guys take a look at the material later, you will see that the adjectives are all these words that are highlighted in black, right? They're bold letters. So talented, creative, a great sense of humor, disorganized, competitive, arrogant, outgoing, unfriendly, shy, easygoing, laid back, practical, down to earth, honest, helpful, generous, selfish, and reliable. These are all adjectives that you can use to describe someone's personality. We're not talking about looks anymore. We're talking about personality. So I have put here in this material this list that has many adjectives for personality. You can choose, you can read them later. I will be posting this on Classroom, so you guys will be able to find this material and read as many times as you want. This is a great way of learning new vocabulary, acquiring vocabulary that you guys don't have yet. So moving on, remember that we saw how to use adverbs before adjectives when describing the people that we admire. We use adjectives before these, we use adverbs before these adjectives to make the adjectives what? Stronger. That's why these adverbs, they're called intensifiers. They make the adjectives more intense. Let's see the examples. When we use incredibly, extremely, very, really, and so, we make adjectives stronger. She's incredibly talented. She's extremely generous. She's not just talented. She's not, a little talented. She is incredibly talented. She's talented in many different ways. When we say she's extremely generous, she's not just generous to help one person here, one person there. She's extremely generous, helping everyone all the time. Now, if we use pretty and fairly, we mean that it's just, more than a little. It's not too much, like here as in incredibly talented, but it's not also too little. So it's more than just a little. He is pretty easygoing. He's not just easygoing, he's pretty easygoing. He's fairly laid back. He's more than just a little laid back. We use absolutely or really with adjectives that are already strong. So that there are adjectives that don't need adverbs, to be strong. For instance, if we say that someone is perfect, perfect is a very strong word, right? It's a very strong adjective. It means that this person is just like right here. There's nothing better than that. They're perfect already. They don't do anything wrong. They're perfect. So when we have these types of adjectives like wonderful, fantastic, perfect, we can use we don't usually use adverbs before them, but if we have to, if you want to, you can use absolutely or really. She's absolutely wonderful, she's just too wonderful. He's really fantastic, it's a lot. It's making it very much stronger. And now another expression that we have is at all. At all, it makes the negative expressions stronger. So she is not selfish at all. So the structure is not at all, right? Not, and then the adjective, and the rest at all. So she's not selfish at all. When they say this, they mean that there is no way, they are not selfish in any way. Just not selfish at all. No way, no way, no way. You know what I mean? I explained this to you guys in class. And finally, we have completely and totally, which we use when we want to say that we mean 100%. He is completely honest. He has never ever lied in his life, so he is completely honest. She's totally reliable. She is someone that you can always count on, always rely on. So she's totally reliable. And we also saw how to add prefixes to adjectives. So certain prefixes make adjectives express the opposite meaning. So if we add these prefixes, the adjective will have a completely different meaning. As in, if we say patient and we add the prefix im, it becomes impatient. An impatient person is very different from a patient person. So considerate, inconsiderate, friendly, unfriendly, reliable, unreliable, honest, dishonest, organized, disorganized. So they are complete opposites, right? Each one of these adjectives. So guys, we have reviewed units 11, 12, and unit 1 from book 3, right? This is all the content that you guys studied at this last couple of months, right? And this is what you will see in your exam. So if you guys watch the video and do the homework, you will be more than prepared to do your test, right? So thank you guys for watching. I wish you very, 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 very good luck on your test, right? I know you guys will be amazing. And now go to Google Classroom to practice everything that you learned, okay, from this video and from what you studied throughout the semester. So bye bye.